Hi, how are you? Today is December 1st, 1959. As many may know, 3 years ago, John Brown and his men broke into the home of a pro-slavery activist named James Doyle. This act was known as the Potawatomi Massacre. James and his two eldest sons were led into the woods by Brown and his men near the cabin and were hacked to death. The group then headed to the cabin for a pro-slavery district attorney named Allen Wilkinson. Wilkinson would meet the same end as the Doyles. Not much later, the fifth and final victim, William Sherman, was taken and killed. They would later go on to raid the arsenal at Harper's Ferry. 3 years later, John Brown and his sons would go onto the raid, the arsenal at Harper's Ferry, and Brown would be sentenced to death. And he will be hanged on December 2nd, 1959. Now over to Dalton's dad in Harper's Ferry.
Mr. Brown. We are now being joined by Mr. Brown himself. Mr. Brown, you are scheduled to be executed tomorrow. But before then, the world would like you to give them some answers. Could you tell us why you did what you did at Potawatomi Creek and at Harper's Ferry?
Good question, Bill.
Let's just call me Bill. You can call me Bill, it's fine. My name's Dalton, so Bill's fine.
What is it?
Dalton's dad.
Well,
And I know it's tough to talk about, but you know, anything's fine. Yeah. It's okay.
well, I've always hated slavery from a young age, and I did whatever I could to help the lives of African Americans, and I really wanted to improve their lives.
Mhm.
And I moved to the Adirondacks.
Adirondacks.
Yeah. It's just really hard to talk about right now. I moved there to assist a colony of free black farmers, and also when I was in my 20s, I helped the fugitive through.
It's okay. What did you help him through?
Brings back memories. I helped the fugitive through the Underground Railroad. I was devoting to ending slavery and only killed people in the defense of African Americans. And that I solemnly stand by. I murdered those people at Potawatomi Creek and tried to seize the arsenal at Harper's Ferry because I felt that I needed to send a message and I wanted to end immediate slavery. Immediately end it.
Okay. Do you regret any of your actions?
No. Because I feel absolutely necessary as a measure of self-defense and the defense of others. If I have to forfeit my life for it, I'd do it again. I don't regret anything.
Thank you.
Now to Dalton's dad in Philadelphia.
Thanks, Tone.E. We're now here with
Thomas Glinton.
Thomas. What is your opinion on John Brown?
Oh, he's a hero. He did nothing wrong at all. All he wanted was for African Americans to be able to have freedom just like the white folks. So what? He killed a few white people to bring some attention to the terrible thing called slavery.
Thanks, Tom. There you have it, folks. A hero.
Now to Dalton's dad in Mississippi.
Thanks, Tone.E. We're now being joined by
Courageous McBasketball.
Mr. McBasketball. What is your opinion on John Brown?
I think he is a terrible person, and the death penalty will serve him right.
Uh-huh.
There's no need for him to kill innocent white folks because he feels like a perfectly good thing, that being slavery needs to stop. There's nothing wrong with slavery. It is good. And there are many, many other ways to deal with not liking it rather than killing white people.
So, do you think he should die?
Yes, I do think he should die.
There you have it, folks.
Now to Dalton's dad in Missouri. Which is, like I said, real fast, Dalton.
Mrs. Doyle is now here with us, widow of James P. Doyle. Mrs. Doyle, can you explain to us what happened the night of May 24th, 1956?
Oh, I sure can. We were all in bed while we heard some persons come out into the yard and rap at the door and call for Mr. Doyle, my husband. God bless his soul.
Amen.
Amen. Those outside inquired for Mr. Wilkinson, who also died. If you didn't know, I know you're doing research on this and all, but never know. My husband told them when he opened the door, my husband told them that they would tell them where Wilkinson was. And they said that they was from the army.
Yeah. Sorry. Just had a lip aneurysm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God bless his soul.
Yep. We are now being joined by John Doyle, son of Mr. and Mrs. Doyle. John, can you tell us what happened that next morning after the massacre?
The next morning was Sunday, the 25th of May, 1856. I went in the search of my father and two brothers. I found my father and one brother, William, lying dead in the road, about 200 yards from the house. I saw my other brother laying dead on the ground, about 150 yards from the house, in the grass. Near a raven, his fingers were cut off and his arms were cut off. His head was cut open. There was a hole in his breast.
And that's how the cookie crumbles.